pointed tail came out of her rectum.
No, 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 no. No means no, and yes means no. And so you're flocculous, because everything you do, everything you're around, and everything you touch is flop. Menagerie of mutts over there.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's good, people? What is up? What's up, people? What is up? It's Tuesday. Tuesday night. Well, it may not be Tuesday night if you're watching the replay. But I filmed this. It's Tuesday night. It's David Makes a Man, and we are here for all of it. You know David Makes a Man is our favorite show. Here for it. Despite all of the naysayers, despite those who take issue with it, we are still here for it. You are here for it. I see it in the comments and how passionate you all are about it, so I'll be passionate right along with you. This, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. Let me go start that over. What's up, y'all? I'm LTeddy27, and I'm here for another review, for yet another review. This, ladies and gentlemen, will be our review for David Makes Man. This is season 2. It is episode 4. It is entitled It is entitled Savage, Classy, Bougie, Ratchet. Now, that title is all about Shella. It's describing Shella, all of the different iterations of who Shella is and what Shella has to offer the world. So, just know, I'm sorry, what am I snacking on? We're finishing up this box of Rice Krispie Treats Homestyle Original with, right here, maximum marshmallow. So good. So good. It tastes just like the kind you make at home when you put the extra, not extra, but extra marshmallow in it. So good. Anyway, so that title describes Shella. All that she is, all that encompasses her. Now, we start off with these flashbacks of the Ville back in the days of Raining and Shinobi and those days from season 1, and we see all of the different things that happened, the interactions, the fact that it wasn't all bad, and that's going to come into play later on in the episode, and all of the stuff that we remember from the Ville last season. So we then see Shella. She wakes up and she starts to get herself ready for her day. She gets done all up, this, that, and the third. This is so rude for me to be eating, but y'all know how I am. Anyway, so let's break this down. From the start of Shella's day to the end of Shella's day, Shella is about helping others. She's looking out for the Ville. We start off seeing her call probably somebody down to the city or a homestead or the county commission or something to see about street lights that are not working or broken traffic lights down there at the Ville, just to get some stuff fixed around there. We also see as she promenades and gallivants through the Ville. Everybody knows Shella. She's that girl. She's the it girl. Everybody knows her. Everybody interacts with her. Good, bad, and in between. She knows everybody. She knows how to react and interact with everyone else. She gets shit done. And so we saw several iterations of that with several different people who she spoke to, reprimanded, high five, gave a shout out to, collected money from, this, that, and the third. So we see her doing that, and it was beautiful to watch. And everybody knows that kind of person in the neighborhood, or at your job, or in an organization you're in, or at your church, or somewhere where there's this one person who's the centerpiece of that place, and everything kind of rotates and revolves around that person. They kind of make everything go. And so that's what Shella is. She's like the sunlight. She's like the sun, and the rest of the solar system is revolving around her, the solar system that is the Ville, and she gives it light and strength, and makes things alive in the Ville, just like the sun does. And so we see she goes down, and this was something that I really wanted to see. I really wanted to see what she did for herself. And at one point, we see her go down to Little Havana. She's doing some shopping, and then we see her go and buy this purple wig for herself. And even though part of it was for herself, another part of it was she wanted to use it for her thought streaming lives that she does on Al Gore's Good Internet, thoughting and botting around. Anyway, but she wore it when she did that later that day. She had it on for the rest of that day, but one of her clients came over who's, seemed like a friend of hers. And she does this these beauty treatments and things like that. Looked like she was trying to correct the bags underneath the girl's eyes. Just Shella once again. Even though we had this brief moment where she went shopping, and I thought it would be for herself, we see once again she's pouring herself into everything and everyone else. And although her making money does help her, she still then goes back and uses that money to help others. And so a lot of times, you need individuals like that, but individuals like that need someone that's going to be taking care of them. They need someone that's going to pour into them and help feed into their life, because otherwise they'll be sucked dry. And so that's what I'm looking for. Who around Shella is that one that is pouring into her and helping sustain her? Because I don't see that she has a boyfriend. And even though JG and stuff like that is coming around, that's not going to suffice for what she needs. So while she was doing these beauty treatments on the client, she hears these noises. She thought it was gunshots. She goes outside and looks at the place where JG got shot, and she's experiencing, bouts with PTSD, a little bit of anxiety and PTSD and so forth, based on her what happened to JG in that event that she witnessed and had to be a part of. Next thing we know, it's the next day. Shella downstairs. She's planning snapdragons for Mix Elijah, and so Elijah's upstairs in their apartment, yelling down at Shella about what to put him. Move him over, move him over, move him over. And as much as Shella is annoyed, Shella is the type of person, it does get annoying. You do want to, cuss them out and be like, I ain't doing nothing else. But that's joy for her. That is what she gets joy in doing, helping those in that community, helping those around. So as much as it pains her, she's like, I could choke Miss Elijah. It gives her joy to be there to help out, to, be giving back and to be that strength and support for people who don't have their own. So, Mix Elijah. Now, to me, this garden is much more than just a garden. But I saw the garden as is this metaphor for the Ville. Even though, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe we kind of got a little bit of it last season, but I have to go back and remember. But I felt like Mix Elijah, by telling her, no, put the snapdragon over there. No, move it a little bit further. No, move it a little bit further. That was a metaphor for, keep working, keep moving. It's not perfect yet. You keep working on this garden and building this garden. I'm overseeing, and you see Mix Elijah looking down, overseeing this garden, which Mix Elijah has done for the Ville. It's a metaphor for the Ville. Mix Elijah, ever since last year, has always looked over the Ville and seen everything, knew everything that was going on. Even though we see Mix Elijah has either bouts with dementia and or Alzheimer's, even when you have people that experience that, there's still some cognizance there. There's still some consciousness of mind. And Mix Elijah still is surveying the land that is the Ville. The metaphor is the more Mix Elijah forgets or has bouts with it, the harder it's going to be to keep up the Ville. And so as long as you see Mix Elijah concerned about this garden and very specific and tediously telling Shella what to do with this garden and how to till this garden, it's the same way with the Ville. Shella tilling to that garden is just like Shella tilling to the Ville and keeping the Ville vibrant and stuff like that. So that metaphor I caught, it was beautiful. I got all parts of it. It was great. And Shella didn't realize it at that moment, why it was so important. And she was getting frustrated and angry, but she still did it. She yelled a little bit, but she kept going. And that's going to come into play later. So then David comes through. And David comes through, and Mix Elijah comes downstairs, and Mix Elijah sees David and is just beaming with pride and joy to see this grown David. Mix Elijah has always been proud of David. And what's so funny is, if you notice, David, even when they were little, everybody talks about in the Ville about JG and how much they love JG, and they do love JG. But David was their prize. JG was the one who everybody seemed to, be drawn to, and the one who everybody wanted to interact with and everybody seemed to love. But the one that was a little bit on that pedestal, the one that they looked up to, the one that was supposed to really come and, for lack of a better term, be the savior, or the one that was going to be the example that was going to get out and do right by the Ville, is David. It was never JG. It was always David. Because even as a child, they saw something. Everybody from the thugs to the people that lived there to the other children, they all saw something in David. Even beyond what they saw in JG, and David never recognized that. David always kind of paid attention to how they focused on JG, not realizing how they focused on him. What he failed to realize is JG knew what and how the Ville felt about David and his importance to the Ville and all of that stuff more so than David did. And that's why JG would be like, nah, you the man, David, because David didn't realize the power that he possessed. It was a lot of things about this episode I like. If you look beyond just the surface, there was some great stuff in this episode. So you see Mixolydia, she sees David and she's beaming and she's so proud that she's going on and on about David. And so then David ends up having to tell Shella about the redevelopment. So David tells Shella about the redevelopment. She immediately says, because she was like, what you doing here? You ain't been here umpteen years. Why are you here? And he tells her about the redevelopment. She immediately called it out. This is gentrification. And she goes off from there. So Miss Elijah says, I need to go upstairs and get some. So Miss Elijah goes up to get some. And her and David and Shella are going back and forth, having a little bit of argument about this, that, about the whole redevelopment project. They hear Miss Elijah fall, and they go, and Miss Elijah has this scrape or gash on their knee. And so Shella takes Elijah upstairs to go, take care of the gash or whatnot. And David has the developers come in, and David is directing the developers on everything they need to do and how they need to go about and what they need to do and everything. Now, the interesting part about this is the fact that David knows both sides. David knows the Ville from the inside, having lived there and knowing all of the ins and outs of it. He also knows what the developers have to do. So he can tell them exactly when they say, well, this is too much to do. He can say, no, you can get it done. That's your job. And let me spell out to you what your job is. He spelled out to them to the letter, everything involved in their job. So, and that's because that's David's ability to, the intellect, the intelligence that he has to put all of those things together. Because that's really what intelligence and intellect is, the application, not just the knowledge, but the application of that knowledge. Great stuff here. Love that, the way David just broke it all down for old dude. So they start surveying the land. Marissa rolled up there, because remember, he has to do this with Marissa. So said the commissioners. So Marissa comes through, and so she, starts having her words and so forth. And her and David get to arguing. Mind you, Shella's still upstairs helping out Mixolydia to clean up that gash. And so Marissa and David are just going at it like two wild animals, just going at it, yelling at each other. They're not fighting, but they yell like two dogs barking at each other, like they used to when they were young. And then there's this transition where it went from being old David and old Marissa to being young David and young Marissa arguing back and forth about this. And it was such a great transition and scene there. And so it's all loud, and it's upstairs from Elijah's apartment, and Shella opens the window and said, what's all that noise? And so David was down there with Marissa, and Shella was like, who is this? So there's this back and forth. So Marissa, who's on it, she's on one right now. She's gonna stop all of this. And so Marissa blurts out and lets it be known they plan on building a mall here. They're going to tear all this down and build a mall. And so now she spills the beans about everything. Shella comes downstairs and goes off and confronts David about everything. How he ain't this, he ain't that. You ain't going to do this, you ain't going to do that. And please believe we will be fighting you on this. Please understand. So Shella always had a mouth from when she was little. But, and we heard Mixolydia say this to David later in the episode. Shella don't know David like everybody else know David. Shella was still real small when David was bigger. Shella was like with JG, but Shella doesn't fully understand, because she might have been younger, all that David, did, and all of the plans that David had, and how David maneuvered and manipulated, and it looked one way when David came up with the plan, when it really was a whole different way when it all was said and done. So that was the part. So she's going to fight David on this, not knowing that there may be a plan that does involve her and involves a bill that he's not making her privy to. So anyway, Shella found it out, because she was like, who's all these people? Why are all these people here? And that's when Marissa blurted that out and let them know about the plan to build a mall on the land. So when she confronts David, she lets him know, listen, we're going to fight this, that, and the third. Don't worry. We're not going down without a fight. Shella then talks to Marissa, and wants to get Marissa's angle and why she's so passionate about it. And Marissa tells her, listen, there's the Biscayne Aquifer. And if you know about the topography of that area, the Biscayne Aquifer does go underneath South Florida. And that is water that that the aquifer basically purifies the water and then helps turn it from salt water to fresh water or vice versa. This, that, and the third, because you have Everglades inland, and then you have Atlantic Ocean, and they can't mix like that. So you have the aquifer that helps with that. You also have Lake Okeechobee that in ancient times would flood the whole bottom half of the peninsula of Florida. That's old school stuff. But anyway, she wants to preserve the Biscayne aquifer. I don't know why I decided to give y'all that quick lesson on science and topography of South Florida, but whatever. We then see David fixing his fan in the window for Mixolydian. And Mixolydian was like, I've been asking JG to do this over and over and over, and he wouldn't do it. And you could just see Elijah was just so proud. As much as, like I said, David thinks everybody's into JG. No, everybody was there for David. He just never realized it because he was involved with so much stuff, and he was so focused on taking care of JG and taking care of his mom and taking care of the family. He didn't see the forest through the trees. He didn't see how people felt about him. And so you see Elijah is just beaming with pride. And as he's doing that, David David is asked by Elijah, what are your plans for here? Because he says, and so David tries to talk to him, but David's been looking around. He sees that the house don't look good, that he's living in nothingness, and is wondering how Elijah is staying alive. And also, Elijah just talks so glowingly about David, and you can see David begin to do that sweating thing he does, where there's this, he has these epiphanies or these moments where you'll see him, and you saw it in season 1 where he'll just be profusely sweating, and it's like he's getting this epiphany. Y'all know water is very significant in this series. It represents some type of change or epiphany or something. So when we see water or see liquid, that is important and significant. And I think David realized at that point how much they thought of him, especially Elijah, because Elijah for a long time is and was the voice of the veil, eyes, ears, and even voice. And so David realizes how proud he's made Elijah, and I could see in him that he knows what it's going to do if he disappoints Elijah, and the fact that he can see the dimension, he can see Elijah very barely holding on to thoughts, memories, and being coherent. And so I believe that he was at that moment thinking, I can't mess this up, and really send Elijah further down, because he sees the state that Elijah is in there. Shella has a meeting that night with the people down that live in the Ville, and she realized they ain't ready for this fight. She trying to do all of this stuff, make all of they looking like we ain't ready for this. She knows they ain't ready for this, and I think she kind of realized, I'm gonna have to do this by myself. Shella then catches, hears all this noise. I almost thought it was gunshots at first. Shella opens the door to the damn laundry room. What is happening? David is busting Marissa down, blowing her back out, beating her box in, plunging her womb. I ain't mad at it, Marissa. Girl, get it how you live. Get it how you live, honey. You saw that happening, baby. I'm here for it. So Shella gets upset, goes upstairs. Goes to her apartment. She calls Miss Lowe. She's going on and on and on and on and on about how David's going to do this to the Ville and all of these plans. He's building a mall, and he's going to tell I should die, and I can't afford this, that, and the third. And he was fucking some girl, some hippie girl on the top of the goddamn, on the top of the good dryer. And he could have been shot by Miss Quavo if she got all kinds of shit, child. Glow, to me's response was a motherly response. One, she was like, wait a minute, who did what? David, you sure you ain't talking about David? Nah, that don't sound. So she was surprised. I wrote down that she was surprised at David, but the way that Shella was saying all of this stuff, and it was really kind of bad. Shella was really going in on David. You could see Glow kind of turn from, just a surprise to the, okay, girl, get off my phone, because the way you about to try and go in on my child, I might have to light you up tonight. So let me get you off this good phone while you still in my good graces. And so she got off the phone with Shella. So then after that, David, we see him, he goes and talks to Elijah. And he talks to Elijah about his plans, because Elijah is like, what's your plans here? Because Shella don't, this is what he tells him, Shella don't know you like I did. He remember how David came up with that big plan with the pills and with the prescriptions, and how he had an overarching plan that was to take over the drug game and take it away from the people who didn't live in the Ville, like Raymond and others and Tio, who didn't live in the Ville and didn't be no good about the Ville. And so Elijah is expecting David to have another master plan that nobody sees like that one. And so David kind of tries to reassure Mix-a-Lot and say, I'm doing this. This is not what it seems. I'm doing this. And we find out he does truly have aspirations for politics. He does want to go down that road. He does. I think it's more than what he was explaining to Mix-a-Lot, because he never fully reveals his full hand. But I always said he wanted to go down this politics road. Then he realizes, because Mix-a-Lot is talking to David as if he's JG, that, oh boy, the dementia has said it. But I want to say this because I dealt with Alzheimer's and dementia face to face with in my own family and in my own life. And a lot of times when you're talking, they do understand. There are times where they are cognizant, and what will happen is it'll be something they feel very strongly about, and they want to respond, but because of the depreciation and diminution of brain cells and cognitive ability, the brain will kind of get fragile and they'll not be able to remember, and so the brain will kick in a memory or kick in some whole other thing, and it'll seem as if they're not there with you when all the while they were. But what happens is them not being able to respond doesn't allow them to get it out, or it may just change the subject matter as well. I say that to say this: that doesn't mean that they never got it or didn't hear you or didn't receive it. They did, and usually they will have a reaction to it once they kind of get themselves together. Anyway, so they'll surprise you sometimes to make you think, oh, you did hear that. I heard it. So Shella when David leaves and so forth, Shella sees him leaving, and she tries to go in on him again and reminds him, don't worry, like I said, we will be fighting this. We'll be down in the commissioner's office with petitions and all. This is not going down without a fight. David then goes to Glow's house. He tries to go in on Glow about, have you gone to go see first Glow went off on David. She scolded David about busting down some chick, and when she found out it was Marissa, she was like, the little dirty girl from your middle school. And he was like, yeah. And she was like, oh. Child, she was surprised it was Marissa, honey. Child, the nerdy girls be the bust downs anyway. And so to get his mind, she went in on him about the Ville and how important the Ville was. And I think that's why at the beginning of the episode, we started to see all these great memories and flashbacks of the Ville. Because if y'all remember the episode last season, I think it was the Halloween party, where David wanted to be serious and David kind of wanted to go off on his mama about the bills and stuff like that. And Glow was like, listen, we ain't gonna worry about no bills today. We're gonna have this the Halloween party, and we just gonna have some fun and have a good time. And his mom wanted to reiterate, this ain't gotta all be bad. We do have good times here. And so fast forward to this season, she reiterated to him again, it was fun times at the Ville. It wasn't all bad. It wasn't all, gloom and doom. There were good people and good times at the Ville. And she reminded him of that. JG comes out because David then tried to scold Glow about not going to go see Mix-a-Lot, and have you going to see him? Do you know he ain't here? Do you know how he doing? Do you know where he is? JG steps in because JG knows that's been his role to go and see about Mix-a-Lot and take that back to Glow. But since JG has been down and injured and stuff like that, he hasn't been able to. So JG kind of goes in on David about, one, what he's trying to do to the Ville. Two, the fact that he ain't even been going over there to help Mix-a-Lot and take food over there to Mix-a-Lot, groceries over there to Mix-a-Lot. Now, David did offer to give Mix-a-Lot some groceries, but Mix-a-Lot said no. So, anyway, so then we see JG goes over, takes groceries over to Mix-a-Lot, and he reminds Mix-a-Lot, because they have a conversation about David coming over, and JG, we finally see JG really coming to terms with the change in David. And I think he always did. I think he just plays it off in front of David because he doesn't want to hurt David's feelings. But he tells Mix-a-Lot, that ain't the same David that you remember from when he was a little boy. That's a different David. And he don't mean no good with the Ville. He tried to tell Mix-a-Lot that, and if you notice, Mix-a-Lot knew and was cognitive of the fact that David was coming there to tear down the Ville and so forth. And so, JG reminded Mix-a-Lot, listen, he may not be able to be trusted. I don't know if you can trust him. I got you. That's what JG says to Elijah. JG goes downstairs to talk to Shella. On his way there, he saw the spot where he got shot, and then he experiences his own PTSD, anxiety and stuff about that. And so Shella sees him in the middle of sweating and having this moment, and he comes in, and it started off, you think this was going to be a whole, y'all about to do it moment, and then Shella took it left. Shella was going in about David and what he was going to do, and JG was on her side then. But then Shella flipped the script and started saying, "Oh, did you go check on the little boy who shot you? And because somebody need to check on him because he shot a police, and you know what that means." And so in my mind, like, yeah, he shot a police, but that police happens to be a person that is very close to you. That police, and I was with JG because the way she was starting, she was making JG feel like it was his fault, and I was like, that ain't JG fault. That's that little boy fault for doing what he did. And so she was like, this could mean this could be life for that boy. And so in my mind, I was like, this could have been JG's life for real, like gone. But girl, you over here. Shella was out of line. I ain't want no parts of what Shella had going on at all. What I really think happened at this moment was JG realized they had more conversations that ended this way. And here we have Shella having this dialogue with JG that makes JG remember, yeah, there's a reason that I didn't end up with you. And I think he came to grips with that. The problem is with Shella, she missed the opportunity there. Not just to get bust down by JG, because I mean that's good enough alone, but to be a good friend. And sometimes in your trying to serve the greater good and serve the community and be there for everybody else, you neglect people close to you, or you neglect people who individually may need your support and attention while trying to just serve the masses. And while that may be good for the masses, sometimes there are people that are very close to you that need your effort and energy as well. And you see this a lot of times with the wives or spouses of big figures, where they talk about, they always, and there are moments where they need them to know, I don't need you to be big, grandiose, so-and-so. I need you to be my husband, my spouse, my best friend, my confidant, because I need you to pour all of that into me. And I didn't like that interaction between JG and Shella at all. I thought Shella was completely out of line. She need to know that. So then JG storms out. We then see David. Now David is looking at some blueprints, and you see out of this blueprint comes this 3D, animation of what the Ville looks like. And then he starts having these flashbacks and memories of all of the good times back in the Ville. And so what I'm imagining is that this is a moment that is going to make make David change his ultimate plans or ultimate goals for the Ville and what he sees about to happen. Okay, so I'm not saying he's going to try to save the Ville, but I think it may help alter the ultimate goal that he has. And so he has this kind of epiphany moment. Finally, we see it's still nighttime. Shella goes outside. She sees Mix Elijah down there tending to this goddamn garden again. And so now we're here with the metaphor. And I think this is the moment where Shella got it. Her looking at Mix Elijah in the dead of night, tilling and tending to this garden. Mix Elijah was like, isn't the garden so beautiful underneath the moonlight or at night? And it's the same thing with the Ville. It's peaceful at night. Everything is calm, and under the moonlight, anything can look good under the moonlight, even the Ville. And so Shella goes down and starts helping Mix Elijah tend to this garden. And I think she kind of got it and figured out, oh, that's why Mix Elijah had me keep working on it, perfecting how every piece of this garden goes in a certain manner, in a certain way, or in a certain place. The same way it is with the situation surrounding the Ville. I also think this was a metaphor to let her know I'm still here fighting for the Ville, and let us as the viewers know that Mix Elijah, I think, is going to play an important part in helping keep the Ville or save the Ville or do as much as they can to try to save the Ville. I think Mix Elijah's role is going to be way more important than we think right now, if I'm using this as a metaphor. I don't know, y'all. Those are my thoughts. I know we're long today, but I had to get it all out. I thought it was a beautiful episode. I actually like this episode. I know people may disagree with me. We got the naysayers, the people who say it wasn't all that, but it was to me. That was the episode, y'all. Y'all know what time it is. It's time to get in this comment section, y'all. I am looking forward to y'all comments or in my commentary this week, and my breakdowns this week, and my recaps and my reviews this week. Get down in the comment section and let's good about what we saw and everything else. I'm going to the comment section myself right now to see what y'all put it down. Until next time, that's all I got for y'all. I hope y'all like this review and breakdown. Until then, thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. I'm out.